Using AI?
You're so sick.
What?
And you
No.
don't know how
No,
sick
no.
you are. This is why you're sick. I have aces.
Okay, I'll tell you this. I don't have a jack. Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Greg Goes All In. I'm your host, Greg. I like to make poker vlogs, and very recently I've been making poker memes. I've been making really short, funny videos about poker on YouTube, and I've been sharing them on the Reddit community, and it kind of just blew up and took off. I've got at least 2,000 views on each of the short videos. The latest one has over 6,000. And now in a little less than a month on YouTube, I now have 206 subscribers, which is crazy to me. So real quick, I just want to say thanks to all my subscribers. And I also want to say a big thanks to the Reddit community. You guys really showed a lot of support on there. I was not expecting that. I was expecting to get roasted, but every post I made, you guys put it on the front page. The latest one ending up being the top rated post. Thanks to all of you guys. I really appreciate it. You're making my ego bigger than it already is. Whoop! Back to the vlog. So I've got a regular virtual home game with a bunch of friends. We play 5 cent, 10 cent, but it really plays more like $50 no limit because everybody plays so deep stacked and everyone just keeps buying back in. And last night I played a game with them and straight up, no suspense needed, I fucking destroyed my friends. I absolutely decimated them. I punched their teeth out and fed it to them anally. I ran like God. So here are 12 of the most interesting, exciting hands that happened last night. Excited to share them with you. Here we go. So early on, we pick up 5-9 suited. We pick up Dolly Parton. Grinding 9 to 5. My fairly tight friend Ezra opens up to 30 cents from under the gun. I call on the button and Brian calls on the big blind. The flop is 9K9 rainbow. We flop trips with a backdoor flush draw. It checks to Ezra and he bets 40 cents. I raise to $1.20 to build this pot up now. If he's c-betting with air, so be it. He'll just fold now. But Ezra plays quite tight, so a king would very likely be in his range, and he can't fold that now. Brian gets out of the way and Ezra calls. The turn is the 8 of hearts, and now that gives me the flush draw to go along with my trips. Ezra checks to me and I bet the pot, thinking that a king still can't fold in this position, and especially when I have an aggressive image with this group. And Ezra calls, definitely put him on a king at this point. The river is a inconsequential 2 of diamonds. I decided to polarize my bet here, and I overbet to get a crying call out of Ezra's king, but unfortunately he ends up making the fold. And to keep it friendly, I show him the goods. Okay, next hand, I've got King Queen offsuit in the big blind, and there is the under the gun straddle by David Soul, whose real name is Mateo, but we're just gonna call him David Soul because that's less confusing. Mateo, why did you do this? Ezra opens to 35 cents, Jay calls, and Brian calls. Everyone other than Ezra has a pretty loose opening call range, so I decide to raise to isolate Ezra or at least thin out the field. But this quickly backfires when David Soul on the undergun straddle raises to $5.25. What's worse is that Ezra calls and so does Jay, but at least Brian gets out of the way. Now, normally I don't like calling 4 bets with King Queen offsuit, but with 2 callers, I only have to put in $3.85 to win $17.50 or around 4 to 1 pot odds, meaning that I only have to have more than 20% equity to profitably call, so I do. And I'm glad we do because we flop the absolute nuts. The flop is Jack 9-10, 2 clubs. I check to the pre-flop aggressor David Soul, and unfortunately, David Soul lets us down and he checks, and to make it worse, Ezra checks as well. But thank God Jay doesn't let me down. He's a real one. He shoves for $16.32 here. I reshove here and David Soul folds, and so does Ezra. We're heads up. Jay asks to run it twice. I say sure, but I don't think it'll make much of a difference because I have the absolute nuts. He says oh. So we run it once and turns out he has middle pair with an open-ended straight draw. So we're in very good shape here. We hold and we take down this massive pot. Nothing like being in a multi-way straddle pot and flopping the absolute nuts. Okay, a few orbits later, we've got more D-gens at the table now. I'm in the small blind with 3-5 suited, and David Soul is straddling under the gun once again. It folds back to me, and I just flat the straddle. Then Richard pops it up to 60 cents, and when David Soul calls, I figure I have a decent price to call. We go 3 ways to the flop, which is 2-4 king rainbow. We flop an open-ended straight draw. It checks through, so I get a free card, which doesn't help us. It's the queen of hearts bringing in a backdoor flush draw. But I go ahead and semi-bluff. I'm still able to represent a king as if I check to the aggressor on the flop and I'm now trying to get value from it. And since they both checked the flop, I assume they're pretty weak and might be able to get them both to fold here. So I bet $1.25 into $1.80 and only Richard calls. I put him on some Queen X hand, maybe even some pocket pair from 5s to jacks. And the river of dreams really do be river of dreams. We're running like God here. It's the 6 of clubs completing our straight. I lead up for $3 to get value from the aforementioned holdings that Richard might have, and he quickly calls, and we're good. He doesn't say what he had, but Brian quickly lets us know that he also has 5-3.
Oh, Greg!
Thanks, Brian. I guess. All right, 45 minutes go by. I'm pretty card dead. So I get a little bored and I get a little out of line and raise to 60 cents from the button after one limper with 2-6 suited. Richard calls in the small blind and Brian calls in the cutoff. The flop is 10 ace queen 2 spades. We've got shit all. I go ahead and lead as the aggressor and bet 3/4 of the pot anyway. They both call. The turn is another ace. From their perspective, this shouldn't be a good card for me because it would mean that it's less likely for me to have an ace, but I know that they know that, so it would look super strong if I lead out anyway, right? Okay, aggro Greg, here we go. I put $4 into $6 and they both quickly fold. Hooray! Adam asked me if I have an ace.
Greg, do you have an ace?
Nope. So I told him no and I show my bluff. I do this to advertise that I'm able to make big bluffs, even though I very seldomly actually do it. The reason for this is so that when I make my big hands, I can get lighter calls in the future, which I absolutely do. When I pick up kings 4 hands later, I open to my standard 50 cents from the low jack. Adam, who asked if I had an ace the last hand, calls. The blinds fold and we go heads up with Adam. The flop is queen 6-8, 2 diamonds, great flop. I have an overpair. Knowing that he just saw and took note of the big bluff I made earlier, I decide to value bet relentlessly here and a lot higher than I normally would. I bet 80 cents into $1.15 and he calls. I think he's calling me with any pair, a pocket pair, or something even as weak as a backdoor draw. The turn is another 8. This isn't great if he called me with an 8 on the flop, but I can still get so much value from any queen x, 6x, straight draws, flush draws. Thinking it's more likely than not that I have the best hand, I go ahead and bet 250 and 275, essentially a pot size bet, because I know that Adam will call me down lightly. He does call. I think this makes it less likely that he has an 8, as an 8 might re-raise to price out draws. The river is the jack of spades, and the only draw that gets there is 9-10, and the only conceivable way that that specific hand gets to the river is if it's 9-10 of diamonds, so I'm not too worried about that. At this point, I put him on some queen x hand. Even if he has queen jack for 2 pair, I still have the better 2 pair with kings and 8s, so I go ahead and bet $5 into $7.75. He quickly calls, and we take this down. Wonderful to get 3 streets of value with our kings. And yes, we were card dead for a while, but I don't think we're card dead anymore because 2 hands after picking up those kings, we pick up Jiggeties. I decided to try a limp re-raise play with them. I find Jiggeties are really hard to play since the flop will have an overcard 57% of the time, so perhaps I can limp re-raise to steal the pot pre-flop. Jay opens to 25 cents. Zephyr, aka Douglas, I don't understand why they don't just use their real names, but we're just gonna call him Zephyr for now, calls. Brian calls, and I pop it up to $1.75. Jay calls, the rest fold, and we go heads up out of position. Pretty good situation going heads up with Jiggeties. The flop is 4-10 ace 2 diamonds. We've got second pair, no diamond. I check the Jay, who bets half pot, and I call. The turn is the 3 of spades. I check it again and Jay checks back. So while I've made it clear that I don't have an ace by checking on the flop, it feels like Jay doesn't really have one either by checking the turn. At best, I think he has an ace with a bad kicker and he's checking a pot control. The river is the 10 of spades pairing the board. I check to him once more and he bets quite large. He bets $5.50 into $8. Now I think I can remove an ace from his range. If he really did have an ace, he'd probably check or bet smaller because he should be worried about a 10 making trips, as that is often what I'd be calling him down with. The only thing he'd be betting for value here would be a 10x hand, but even that seems really odd. If I've made it obvious that I don't have an ace, he would be betting a little smaller to get value from hands in my 3 betting range that don't contain an ace, like kings, queens, or jacks, which is what I have. Also, simply by having 2 of the 10s on the board makes it less likely that he has a 10. Also, he could have a lot of draws here that missed, and now he's turning them into a bluff, any diamond draw, any gut shot straight draw. So in conclusion, I think his value bet sizing is weird. He has more combinations of bluffs than 10x hands, so I decided to bluff catch with my Jiggeties. I call. All right, let's see what you got.
Oh, nice hand.
We are good. We catch Jay speeding with 8 high, and as always, he's a good sport about it. The immediate hand after, we pick up King Jack offsuit in the big blind. Adam opens to 30 cents from the low jack. Brian 3 bets to $1. I call and Adam calls. We go 3 ways to the flop, which comes 9 jack 9 rainbow. We've got top pair, good kicker. Brian leads for $2.25 and I quickly call and Adam folds. The turn is the 8 of spades, bringing in the spades flush draw. Brian checks. Because he 3-bet but checks turn, it feels like he has 2 overcards that missed, maybe ace king suited or ace queen suited. Perhaps he has queens, kings, or aces and is trying to pot control here. There are 6 combos of queens, 3 of kings, and 6 of aces that he could be holding, meaning there are 15 combos that I'm losing to. But if he has ace king or ace queen, there are 30 combinations of those I'm beating. So I go ahead and bet for value against those hands I'm beating, and I bet $4 into $7.50, and he quickly calls. The river is the king of diamonds, which is a great card for me because now I beat everything except aces and kings. He checks to me one more time. I can get so much value from so many hands here like queens and ace king. So with some encouragement from Ezra,
Greg goes all in.
Let's get.
I go all in for $19.60 effective into a pot of $15.50. After tanking for a while here, Brian finally calls. Turns out Brian has something I absolutely did not expect for him to have. He has ace jack suited, so he 3-bet a little bit lightly, and he was ahead the whole time until the river. I got really lucky there. He was a 90% favorite to win on the turn. Lucky to suck out there on Brian and get full value for it. This man's really out here supporting my channel, and this is how I treat him. Sorry, Brian. Okay, at this point, I'm kind of dominating the table and want to give some action back to the folks. So I do a 3-way all-in with Brian and Richard with 10-3 suited. We run it twice. It goes pretty much how you'd expect, and Richard scoops both the boards with the best hand pre-flop. Nice triple up for Richard. Played a little loosey-goosey there. Played a little wild there, but it's good for the game. Helps me get invited back. Okay, so we've got ace-9 of hearts in the small blind. Jay limps in on the cutoff. Zephyr raises it to 50 cents. I call, David Soul calls, and Jay calls. We go 4 ways to the flop. It's 10, 9, ace, all diamonds. We've got top and bottom 2 pair, but the board is very wet. We check to Zephyr, the pre-flop aggressor, who makes a very small bet of 30 cents. I feel like this is a blocker bet, trying to set his own price to make his draw. So I raise to $2, setting a heavy price for people drawing with 1 diamond holdings. David Soul folds, Jay calls my $2, and now Zephyr rips it all in for $13.50. It's a tough position to be in, but it's more likely that Zephyr has a 1 diamond holding as opposed to a flopped flush. I block most sets. The only thing I have to worry about here is maybe pocket 10s, and even there I still have a couple of outs. So I reluctantly call and Jay folds. It's a friendly game, and whenever someone's all in, we usually just run it twice, which we do. Turns out I'm not in as good of a shape as I thought I was in. Douglas has queen jack with the queen of diamonds, so he has a flush draw and an open-ended straight draw, giving him 15 outs. Running it through my odds calculator, we're essentially flipping with Douglas being the slight favorite here, even without a made hand. He doesn't improve on the first board, and only improves to a pair of queens on the second board. Douglas played this hand perfectly. We were in a flip and he maximized fold equity by shoving on the flop. Unfortunately for him, we somehow dodged all of the outs and we get lucky once again. Okay, next hand I'm in the big blind with ace-7 offsuit with Brian Soul straddling to my left under the gun. It folds to me and I raise to 50 cents, forgetting that there was a straddle, otherwise I would have raised higher. Brian Soul calls and the flop is queen 4 ace rainbow. We've got top pair, mediocre kicker. I value bet for 80 cents and he calls. The turn is the king of clubs, bringing in the full rainbow. I bet $2 into $2.65 and he now raises really big to $8.65. And for some reason I just snap call him here without thinking too much about it. I really should have given it a little bit more thought there before calling so quickly, but here we are. The pot is almost $20 and the river is the 10 of clubs with 4 to the straight, and having been re-raised on the last street, I decide to check here and play a little bit more conservatively. He puts out a half pot bet and I tank. David Soul loves table talk, so take a listen here.
Hey, Greg.
Yo.
Hey, your ace is no good.
You river me with a jack, eh?
Yeah, no, I'm so sick.
I do this.
I hit my jack. I'm a sick
bitch. Sick bitch.
Oh.
The table talk.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
What if I
I thought this was good for your.
This is good.
content.
Okay, well let's see what Mike Caro says. Mike Caro says that strong is weak, weak is strong. It seems like
Wait,
you're acting strong, which means you're weak. But it just
Wait.
but it just seems
He knows that by acting strong, he'd think you're weak, so he's acting strong to appear weak, so he's strong.
if I fold, will you show?
No.
I'm quite torn, but I pretty much make my decision to fold once I hear him say he won't show if I fold. A tip from Mike Caro in his book, Caro's Most Profitable Hold'em Advice, is if you're torn, ask if they'll show you if you fold. If they're bluffing, they're more likely to say, yes, I'll show if you fold. in order to get you to fold quicker. So when David Soul says no, I felt more comfortable folding, and by the table talk after, it seems like I made the right choice.
I can say I did not have a jack.
Did you have 2 pair?
I did not have a jack.
Not too long passes before we get Jack 9 offsuit in the small blind. Why am I playing this mediocre hand in early position? Well, it's because I've adjusted my range to Brad Owen's revenge range. We are out here to get revenge on David Soul. Ezra opens to 35 cents from the cutoff. Jay calls on the button and I call in the small blind. David Soul raises to 225. Jay folds, and while Jack 9 offsuit is not in my small blind 3-bet calling range, it is in my revenge against David Soul range. So I call. The flop is 4 ace deuce 2 clubs. It checks through. I'm thinking he probably has kings, queens, or jacks if he's 3-betting pre-flop and checking flop. Turn is the 5 of diamonds, and I decide to put some pressure on those pocket pair holdings. I bet $3 into $5.20, and David Soul calls. The river is the 3 of diamonds, so now there is a straight on the board. His kings, queens, and jacks are now counterfeited, and it's time to get him off the chop. So I overbet to $25 into $11.20, and David Soul is in a world of pain. Time to add some salt into his wound and give him some of his own medicine.
Using AI?
You're so sick.
What?
And you don't know
No.
how
No,
sick
no.
you are.
Okay, I'll tell you this. I don't have a jack.
Nice.
We have a good laugh about it, and what's even better is he shares the hand he's holding, and I'm absolutely shocked.
Okay, this is why you're sick. I have aces.
Oh,
Wait, I want to see this board. What
I
is happening?
actually have aces.
There's a wheel on
that's
the board.
unfortunate.
Yeah. I was so happy with the ace. I'm so sad about the 3.
Like, does he just call for the chop, or is he getting fucked by a 6?
Well, the thing is, like, technically he shouldn't have a 6 there. I don't think he should, but knowing Greg, there's a good chance he does. I think I just fold and save money, like... He probably doesn't have a 6, but I got fold. Okay.
I lied.
Nice.
I do have a jack.
Oh!
We get the bluff through, we take the pot all to ourselves, and revenge is sweet, isn't it, Budges? Isn't it? Isn't it? Last hand we'll go over. Jay opens to 30 cents from the button. I call in the small blind with ace 7 suited, and David Soul calls. The flop is 7, 7, 9, 2 diamonds. We flop trips, top kicker. David Soul bets pot. Jay calls. Wonderful. I play this straightforward and I re-raise to $2.10. And once I make this bet, I immediately realize it was way too small. I really should have raised upward to $3, maybe even $4. David Soul is out for revenge, and only he makes the call. The turn is the case 7 giving me quads. At the time, I decide to slow play my quads, so I check, and unfortunately David Soul checks back. The river is a 5 of hearts, and I stick to slow playing, and I check once again, thinking any pair that he has should be betting, as he would have a full house. Unfortunately, he snap checks it back, saying that he missed, presumably, his diamond flush draw, and we take down the pot with quads. Now, looking back, I think it was a mistake not betting the turn. If he's betting pot on the flop and then calling a raise, he obviously has something, be it a diamond draw, a pocket pair, a straight draw, some 9x hand, and I can get more value from it on the turn. I didn't mind my check on the river once he missed, as it could have perhaps induced him to bluff, but regardless, big mistake checking the turn left some value there on the table. All right, let's see how much we made. We played for 4 hours. I bought in for 20 bucks. And we cashed out with $157.79, giving us a profit of $137.79 in 4 freaking hours. I won more than my fair share of flips. I had more than my fair share of suckouts on the river. We just ran really good and got really lucky this session. That wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I want to say thanks to the D-Gens for letting me film the game to create content. And thanks for having me in the game. Love playing with y'all. Y'all are a bunch of really great guys, and I'm learning a lot more about poker just playing with y'all. So thanks. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button, leave a comment, hit the notification bell. It all really helps out this small channel grow. Thank you all so much for all of your support. Make sure you check out my other videos. I'm Greg Goes All In. You gotta play loose. Play 7 deuce. I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye!